I've always believed dogs know things we don't. They sense moods, intentions, shifts in energy. But I never thought mine would be the one to show me the truth about my marriage. My husband and I have been together for almost 7 years. On paper, it's the perfect relationship. Stable, affectionate, respectful. He travels a lot for work, often 3 or 4 days at a time, and I've gotten used to holding down the fort while he's away. Our dog, Bruno, a big German Shepherd mix, has always been my protector during those nights. He usually sleeps curled at the foot of my bed, keeping watch, silent and calm. That changed about 2 months ago. Started subtly. The first time, Bruno got up around midnight and sat by the front door. He didn't bark or growl, just sat, ears perked, tail twitching slightly. I assumed he heard something outside, maybe a car door or a raccoon. He stayed there for over an hour before coming back to bed. I thought it was odd, but I didn't think too much of it. The next time my husband was out of town, Bruno did the same thing. This time, he wagged his tail as he stared at the door. He even let out a soft whine like he was excited. That unsettled me. There was no noise, no footsteps, no car pulling up. But Bruno seemed absolutely sure someone was coming. Someone familiar. Over the next few trips, the behavior repeated. Always around the same time, late at night. Always with that odd mix of anticipation and excitement. It wasn't like how he reacted to strangers or random outdoor noises. It was personal. By the 4th time, I started to feel uncomfortable. I locked all the doors, checked the windows, made sure the alarm was set. Bruno waited by the door anyway, tail wagging slowly, sitting tall like he was expecting a treat or a friend. I found myself sitting beside him once, whispering, "Who are you waiting for?" I told myself I was being paranoid. Maybe it was a smell, or a pattern I hadn't noticed before. Dogs are creatures of habit, after all. But I couldn't shake the way Bruno's body language changed. How it was never alert or defensive, just eager. That made me more uneasy than if he had barked. I didn't say anything to my husband. I didn't want to sound crazy. Still, I started paying closer attention to Bruno. Every little movement, every glance at the door. It started to feel like he was trying to tell me something. That was the first crack. The first time I felt like something in my marriage wasn't quite right. And it all started with my dog sitting at the door, waiting for someone I couldn't see. Someone who wasn't me. The next time he traveled, I decided to test a theory. I left the lights off, kept the house quiet, and waited. Just like clockwork, Bruno stood up around midnight and went straight to the front door. This time, he wagged his tail more aggressively, pacing a little before sitting down. No barking, no growling, just this strange, quiet excitement. My stomach tightened. I checked the door, nothing. No footsteps, no headlights, not even the wind. But Bruno stayed put, eyes locked on the door like he knew something was coming. He eventually laid down, but kept his head up for nearly an hour before finally coming back to me. That night I couldn't sleep. The next morning I noticed something else. Muddy paw prints near the back door. We hadn't been outside since early evening, and I always wipe his paws when we come in. These were fresh. I checked Bruno's feet, clean. I wiped the prints up without saying anything. A few days later, I found a blonde hair tie under the bed. Have black hair. It wasn't mine. It wasn't new either. It had stretched like someone had used it more than once. My chest went tight, but I still made excuses. Maybe it had been there for a while. Maybe it was from a guest months ago. I told myself I was being paranoid again. But something was off and I couldn't ignore it anymore. I told my friend about Bruno's behavior. She laughed and said, "Maybe your dog knows something you don't." It was a joke, but it hit too close. I laughed, but I didn't forget it. That week I bought a pet camera. Just a simple one. Motion activated, placed on a shelf facing the living room. I didn't tell my husband. I didn't tell anyone. I just wanted to see if anything happened when I wasn't watching. The following Thursday, my husband left again. Bruno's routine didn't change. Midnight came and he stood up, tail wagging, eyes fixed on the front door. I watched him from the bedroom, quietly. Then I checked the camera footage the next morning. It picked up motion at 12:03 a.m. Bruno jumped up, ran to the door, tail going like crazy. He paced, barked softly once, then sat. 12:07 he moved out of frame. That's where the footage stopped. The battery had died. Or maybe something else happened. Either way, I didn't have more. But that brief moment on video, it confirmed one thing. Bruno wasn't reacting to nothing. He was greeting someone. Someone he knew. Someone he trusted. Someone who had no reason to be entering my house when my husband was out of town. That was the moment the fear turned into certainty. My dog wasn't confused. He wasn't reacting to shadows or sounds. He was welcoming someone home. I didn't confront him right away. I needed more than a partial clip and suspicions. So I upgraded the camera. 2 this time, one facing the living room, the other near the back door. Both with continuous recording and cloud storage. I felt sick doing it, but I had to know. The next trip came quickly. He said he'd be gone 4 days. Same city, same excuse, same casual kiss goodbye. That night I barely slept. I watched Bruno more than the TV. Midnight came and right on time he perked up. Tail wagging, head tilted toward the back door. I didn't move. I let the cameras roll. The next morning my hands were shaking as I pulled up the footage. It didn't take long. At 12:02 a.m. the back door opened. Not forced. Unlocked. Someone walked in. Woman. Tall, brunette, in leggings and one of his hoodies. My husband's hoodie. Bruno rushed to her like he'd seen her 100 times. No barking, no hesitation. He licked her hands and followed her into the living room. I felt like I couldn't breathe. She sat on the couch like she lived there. Bruno curled up beside her. A few minutes later the front door opened again. My husband walked in. He dropped his bag on the floor like he'd just gotten home from work. They didn't kiss. It wasn't some dramatic movie moment. He just smiled, sat down beside her, and rested his hand on her leg. Vigil. Comfortable. Practice. I watched every second of that video, all 7 hours. They talked, they laughed. They ate food that had already been in the fridge. She knew where the forks were. She knew how to change the TV input. My dog didn't leave her side. The realization hit hard. Not just that he cheated, but that it had been going on long enough for my dog to love her. Long enough that she had a key. Long enough for them to have a routine. I checked earlier footage. She'd been there at least 3 times before. Always late at night, always through the back. Always greeted by Bruno like she was a member of the family. Every time I thought he was in a hotel, he was coming home to her. My husband had turned our house into their meeting place. And the one who noticed wasn't me, it was my dog. The betrayal wasn't loud or messy. It was quiet, clean, hidden in familiarity and routine. That's what broke me. I had wanted to be wrong. I had begged myself to be imagining things. But there it was, video proof, undeniable and sharp. He wasn't just cheating. He was living a second life inside my home. And my dog had known the entire time. I didn't give him a chance to lie. I sent him the footage while he was still on that trip. No caption. No questions. Just the truth. He called within minutes, voice full of panic, demanding explanations like I'd done something wrong. I didn't answer. He came home to an empty house. I'd already packed a suitcase, grabbed Bruno and left. No dramatic speech. No screaming. Just silence. That was all he deserved. The next day, he texted a long apology. Said he made a mistake, that he missed me, that he didn't know how to fix things. I didn't reply. There was no confusion left to resolve. He hadn't just cheated. He'd invited someone else into our space, made her part of the life we built, and expected me to never find out. Bruno had a hard time adjusting. For days, he sat by the door of my friend's guest room, watching and waiting. He still expected her to show up. He didn't understand that she wasn't welcome anymore. That none of that life was. I started therapy. Not to get over him, but to understand how I missed it. How I ignored the signs my dog tried to show me. I had always trusted people over instincts. I wouldn't make that mistake again. The memories didn't hurt as much as the comfort they'd shared. The way she wore his hoodie. The way Bruno greeted her. That wasn't a one-time fling. That was a routine. A private life built in the shadow of mine. And it wasn't even hidden well. I just hadn't been looking. He sent another message 2 weeks later. Said he'd given her a key because it was easier. Said he didn't mean for it to get serious. That Bruno was just friendly with everyone. That I was reading too much into it. I blocked his number. What stood out the most wasn't the betrayal itself. It was how normal it had all felt to him. Like I wouldn't notice. Like I wasn't meant to. I found an apartment within a month. Small, quiet, clean slate. Bruno took a while to adjust, but he stopped waiting by the door eventually. He stays near me now, always close, like he understands that we've both been through something. People ask if I miss him. I don't. I miss the version of him I thought was real. But once I saw the truth, I realized he was never that person to begin with. Bruno still perks up some nights when he hears keys outside. He tilts his head, listens, then settles back down. I used to wonder if he still hoped she'd come through that door. But now I know better. He's not waiting for anyone. He's making sure no one like that ever comes back in. And so am I.